I'm delighted to welcome today Carola Moon, who is a personal coach to women in business. Welcome, Carola.
Hello, Elaine.
Nice to meet you. Oh, the cat, Bobby Cat's just started scratching the sofa. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but
A little bit, but that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Hey ho, sorry about that. And you've got your dog there. So I've got Bobby the cat, and you've got your dog Red. It's absolutely beautiful there, isn't she? Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Great company.
They
So
want to be part of the party, don't they?
yes, yes, indeed, indeed. So, Carola, you are a personal coach to women in business. I've interviewed, if I had a pound for every women in business coach that I came across, I'd be a very rich woman by now. So,
Mm.
what's the deal with you? Why are you different? What is it that you bring that other coaches don't bring, or explain to us how you work, perhaps?
Yes. So I sometimes call myself the wonky thinking detective because I realized with myself and with my clients how many lies we keep telling ourselves that aren't actually true. Things like, oh, I can't do an Instagram reel. Oh, I can't speak on a podcast. Oh, I can't do whatever it is. My relationship with my husband is horrible. I don't understand him, or whatever it is, the lies we tell ourselves. So I see myself as the coach who helps my female clients to get a 10 out of 10 in all areas of their lives. So I'm not a business coach, although sometimes we do touch on business questions, but it's about finding all the areas where we're not quite happy with, and then not trying to actually elevating it to the where we want it to be, to have like the friendships we want to have, the fitness levels we want, whatever it is. And to, oh, hi, Bobby. is so for me it's about giving that space, giving that time to really look at what is and what isn't working in our lives, and then creating more of what we want and less of what we don't want. So and the reason why I love to work with entrepreneurial women is that they create more than is already there. They have a hunger for like bringing their ideas to life. But in the process of bringing their ideas to life, they often have the problem that they don't they neglect the other areas of their lives somewhat, because they're so focused to getting the business to the level they want to get it to. And my mission is to help them get all areas to a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I bang on all the time. I'm banging on about balance, and if our life isn't in balance, then we're up a gum tree, so to speak. So, when you say all the areas, what areas do you look at?
It doesn't matter. So it could be literally body, fitness, relationships, friendships, parenting, death in the family. Like, it doesn't matter, because it's all about giving each of the whatever is coming up, give the room to look at it, to see what the thinking is about these happenings, and then to shift the thinking to something that is more helpful towards what they want to create. And I think that it's a good question that you ask, because that, I think that's the important bit, is like I wouldn't, like, I have never so far, and I don't think I ever will, say that any topic is off the table.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it is what it impacts us, and if we don't deal with it, it will have knock-on effects on the other areas of our lives, and probably most notably on our businesses.
Yes, yeah, and in my case with the health, that's where I come from now, because it's almost like business kind of looks after itself. But if we don't look after our health, then we don't have a business. If we don't look after our finances, we can't afford to pay our bills. That puts more stress on, and every single thing is balanced. It needs to be in balance, because if it's not, then we are in trouble. I've found this so often. People that I've mentored through cancer and out the other side, I have time and time again looked at how can I help people with the expertise I have, which is in disc behavioral profiling, and you know, the behavioral psychology side of health. How can I help people? And I kept trying to work it in with my DISC profiling. I use the DISC model, which is DISC, dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance, because each of those areas affect our behaviours. But that wasn't enough. There was something I was missing, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then eventually, after 2 years of manning a helpline, a cancer helpline, where I was taking calls from people newly diagnosed with cancer and helping them and their families through, it dawned on me, and it's what you've said, everything in life, you know, death and relationships and friendships, you know, home life, obviously diet, nutrition, and all the rest of it. But it's all these other bits that are kind of sort of superfluous. They're not in our main radar, but actually they really are. We should turn things on their head, like you said with when we spoke before we started recording about your back. Tell us about your backstory,
yes.
about your physical backstory.
Yes. So I had a bad back, and it started actually while we lived in Vienna, and I sneezed and I literally felt that searing pain, and from then, like, for the next 2 weeks I couldn't move, and ended up in hospital in Vienna and diagnosed with a slip disc, and I was on morphine and all kinds of other medication, and within 2 weeks I was luckily, like, without operation, being released home. And I then had a steady but like slow recovery period. So I got better and all seemed fine until we moved back to the UK, and I had to lift my then 5-year-old son, and it slipped again, and I was in agony, back on all the medication, went to all the practitioners to help to get my back in shape, and me back moving and out of bed. And the doctors ended up saying, actually, now the next thing, like, that we can, the only thing we now can do is to put you under the knife and operate on you, which I really did not want to do, because I knew that I'd heard too many stories of where sciatica had been operated on and people just were fine for a year or two and then it slipped again. And so I heard of a book, and it was by sheer chance, about that's called The Great Pain Deception. And the name of the author is very long. I won't be able to repeat it. And but I only, like, I heard of it, downloaded onto my phone as a Kindle version, read only the sample version, and that completely changed my outlook on what I was going through. I stopped immediately taking all my medication, and some of them were very strong. And from then on, it wasn't that it told me that it was all in my head. I think I would have very much resisted that if the book had told me that. But essentially, it did say that the first 3 weeks of a slip disc, of an illness, is when the body goes through the first healing process. But then after that, sometimes it can be used as a crutch by the mind to not have to deal with life and its challenges. And for me, that something clicked in my mind, and I have been well ever since. I do have twinges, and I now take them as a little invitation to check in with my money mindset and what's troubling Carola, and then I usually don't have anything after.
Yeah, excellent. And that's a good example, because the back is known for pressures of life, and particularly finances, and also the shoulders. You know, people talk about having the weight of the world on their shoulders, and very often it's financially linked. It's family linked. You know, so there's always a reason why we hold tension in different parts of our body. I used to have I actually have a damaged spine. And I've had trouble all my life with my back, but it doesn't stop me doing anything. I was also hospitalised and on traction in the days when they thought that that was a good idea, and morphine and Valium and goodness knows what. But at the end of the day, wherever I've moved to, I've always found a chiropractor to fix me. And I've been through hundreds, well, probably exaggeration there, but I've been through so many different chiropractors because they're all different, they're all different techniques. And so I've got some very special chiropractors that I refer to when I need to. But since I've lived in Portugal the last 2.5 years, I've not needed a chiropractor at all. And yet when I was in the UK, I would go every 2 weeks to keep me on the road. Yeah.
What do you think is the difference?
My lifestyle. I'm calmer, a lot slower. Weather, of course, over here in the Algarve, that helps as well. But I think it's a lot of, the lifestyle, the tension that we carry day to day. And because we've had an old trauma, we think, oh, can't do this, can't do that. And I find that with health people as well. So many people hide behind a diagnosis and they can't do this, they can't do that. Well, actually, you could if you wanted. And some people like to be victims. I've now I've now developed a rather strong bullshit barometer, and people who want to live that way, I don't spend an awful lot of time now trying to persuade them otherwise, because they've obviously made their mind up, and I have to respect that that's the choices they've made. So there we go.
And there may well be a time when they're ready for that.
Yes.
It may just not be at that time.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So you're a coach. Sounds rather a splendid coach. What did you do before you were coaching, Carola?
Oh, I've got a what's it called, a dash career, like when you have like
portfolio, portfolio
career, exactly. So yeah, I've sorry about that. I've worked for years in the telecoms industry in the UK, and then I also worked as a professional photographer for the last 10 years. Yes.
Right. Good. So you've got an all-round experience of life.
Yes, definitely.
Brilliant. What advice would you give for people who is it totally women that you work with? Do you work with any men at all?
I don't market to men. I think if a man was really drawn to working with me and we would have like a good fit, then I'm not opposed to it. But it is pretty much women that I tend to draw into my life.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of top tips that you would recommend for women who are maybe entrepreneurs, they've built their business, maybe they're thinking, is that all there is to it, or I need to get to the next level, how do I do that while I'm juggling children and partners, husbands, whatever they're called these days, pronouns, and goodness knows what comes into things. Have to be careful what we say so we don't want to upset anybody. But there's so many things to juggle with and so much pressure on us. Where does somebody start?
So I think the first thing is, like, when someone has all these thoughts and feels all the pressures, is the most important thing is to almost like breathe. It's okay. Yes, you feel all the pressures right now, but it is a now thing. It's a seasonal thing. It's not necessarily, it's not going to be how your life is going to be from now on. And I think the next thing after someone has breathed and is back to feeling a little bit more grounded again is to look at where, how can they get the support they need to help them create more of what they want. So it sounds like the picture you've painted, someone who would want to feel more organized with the family, maybe feel more calm and grounded, so that they can react and respond to the family's needs, while also dealing with their business and the challenges that come with it. So they may well want to look into getting a business coach and or a life coach to just help with the with all the challenges that come up, and help them to learn how they can show up in such a way that they create more of what they want.
Absolutely. So stopping, breathing, calming down, and assessing or reassessing the life, really. Just look at where is it that's causing the most stress, and how you can unravel everything to, because if you unravel one area, then something else gets muddled, doesn't it? And so it goes on, and the balance is always a challenge to keep. And the point you made, I think, was very relevant just now about maybe two coaches, a business coach and a life coach, because both will bring different aspects.
Yes, definitely. I think the difference there is, I think a lot of business owners think that oh, it's okay if I have a business coach because that will solve everything else. You know, that will get me to where I need to get to, and therefore everything else is tickety-boo. But what often happens is that the other areas may sometimes get a bit neglected because we put so much effort and time and energy into our businesses. But it's so important to just keep looking at the other areas as well, and making sure that we said it at the beginning, we have create as much of a balance as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just created, well, I'm in the process, actually, haven't officially announced it yet, but I'm working on developing my Disc Plus life currency indicator, which is a form of balancing, where people can assess where the balance is in their life and so on, and then matching that against the financial currency. Look at your life currency, and it's exactly what you've just said. And as I say, people that I've mentored in the cancer world, if the life stuff isn't in balance, their health will never get balanced. If their emotional state is out of kilter, they're never going to heal properly. So everything is just balance. But everybody's balance is different as well, isn't it?
Yes. So and that's why I personally work with my clients one-on-one, because every client is going through different things. Like the other day, I had a client who had just had a grief, like
bereavement.
Death, a bereavement in her family. So we then had almost like we couldn't even talk about anything else in her life. That had taken everything over. And so it was just about holding that space for her to going through her grief. But it could also be like you just have had like a bad fallout with your husband. Ideally that needs mending before you even try to achieve anything else, because part of you will be processing that fallout in the back of your mind, and you won't show up as well to your kids, to your friends, to your business, whatever else you're dealing with.
Yeah, so spot on there. I find that people who've had a bereavement, I caution them to be extra vigilant with their health and well-being, because the research is just beyond question. Within 2 years of a bereavement, breast cancer is a very common occurrence with women within 2 years of bereavement. So if there's anybody listening to this who has had obviously a sad bereavement, please look at your health and well-being, eat very well, just do the best you can, because it's emotional. All illnesses have an emotional root cause, and that's a biggie. And there's a lot of this time of year, coming up winter time is difficult as well. So how do people get hold of you, Carola?
Yes, so I've got a website called at www.thecarolamoon.com. So it's like Carol but with an A at the end. And I'm on Instagram, again, with the same handle, the Carola Moon, and on Facebook. And I quite like to connect with people also on LinkedIn, because that's becoming my most favorite platform right now.
Yeah, that's my favorite as well. Yes, absolutely. Any last tips before we finish?
I think give yourself the opportunity to just sometimes breathe and stop, and don't take whatever your mind serves up so seriously, because I think I'm so sorry. There's so many times when we just literally just believe whatever our mind serves up, and the best thing I found to almost like stop that immediate acceptance of what our mind tells us is sometimes to do thought downloads, and then to look at, like, and the thought download is literally just writing everything down that we're thinking about, and then to look back over it, like with a little bit calmer mind, to see actually what is that really true? Is that really something that is helping me to have the business success, have the marriage that I want, have the, you know, relationship with my kids, whatever it is, have the health that I want, to actually question your own thoughts a little and almost loosen that grip that the mind has on our easy acceptance of what it serves up.
Yeah, very, very good recommendations. So writing things down is extremely cathartic, isn't it? And you say when you can reflect back when you're calmer, you've done a few deep breathing exercises or sleeping on it, you know, however long it takes you. Very often you get clarity, don't you, quite quickly?
Definitely. Yeah.
Brilliant. So just repeat your website again, Carola.
At www.thecarolamoon.com.
Marvellous. Thank you. It's been lovely speaking with you. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.